I want to touch on one thing that was mentioned earlier, but like I read a lot of articles about leadership, and I think one of the things that I've taken away from this is the fact that good leaders listen. Okay, they listen. Number one, and number two, they admit when they don't know something.
Mhm.
Something that I've sort of that I've incorporated into my style, my leadership style. I think it's benefited me because like I'm not gonna pretend. Okay, I mean I'm not. I think you look like an a hole, quite frankly, when you do that.
But can I say, because I would say both of you have said in different points that you lacked confidence in some way, but I think it takes more confidence to say you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So you think you're not confident, but really you have to be a little bit more secure with yourself to be able to be out there. It takes a vulnerability.
You don't want to look weak, right, Aaron? I mean, but ultimately, I think there is a um, vulnerability, and I know Brene Brown talks about this. Michelle, we talked about this, but there's something to being vulnerable too, right? And
Yeah.
ultimately, I think you do come across as more genuine, quite
And I
frankly.
think as men, we are constantly told that we have to be the
Mm-hmm.
leaders, the experts, the no like and men who aren't vulnerable in that way, um, they're often like telling you their expert opinion on issues that they actually know nothing about.
I would say even the word association we use though is so linked to we're talking about vulnerability, and Kelly, you immediately jump to weak. So
Mhm.
that's also happens for men too, as we start talking about these feelings that should be very normalized and okay and manageable.
Yeah,
But your brains are trained to associate them with other words that aren't considered. Uh,
it's
as
unfortunate, but you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's backwards thinking. I think it's old school thinking, and I don't think it's helpful. It's not healthy for sure.
It's a real shame in our society. I do think that men right now are, at least through my lifetime, going through an identity crisis. I think a lot of young men might have a kind of imposter syndrome around masculinity. But it's a conversation that needs to be had, and it's really important because men, at least when I was growing up, the kind of in the 70s and 80s, it was all about macho, leather gloves, like a fast car, and no expression of vulnerability, or I'd be called a sissy, or
Mm-hmm.
just dumb, like toxic masculine elder people who really didn't know what they were talking about. And all that did for me, when I was finally, like, an adult or a kid in an adult body, I didn't know how to process my feelings, and it would just come out as anger.
Mm-hmm.
I see that so much, that it's just that we haven't been taught how to process our feelings and how to process, that we're not perfect, or that we're not like matching up to this dumb ideal that doesn't even
Mm-hmm.
really mean anything. It's just tropes, in a way.
Yeah.
And when you have a loss, like your job loss that you were talking about in your article, that masculinity, that macho-ness delays grief, which
Yeah,
then compounds grief.
100%, definitely.